Welcome to the Growthhound video podcast. I'm Archer Hobson, CEO of Growthhound, your growth management intelligence company. Today on our podcast, we have Daniel Gerow, who is a local entrepreneur that runs a digital marketing agency called TAP, the Agency Project. And we're going to talk to him about his insights on growing a company and helping other clients grow their company. Before we get started, make sure you follow us on your favorite social media channels where we send out the best content in the world. Enjoy! So I'm joined today with Daniel Gerow, CEO of TAP, aka the Agency Project, a digital marketing agency here in Dallas, Texas. He was very helpful in joining today on this, the first episode of our growth video podcast. And so Daniel, go ahead, tell me a little bit about yourself, about the company, how you got to where you are.
Yeah, so first things first, congrats on getting this going. I know you've been working on it for a while, so super happy for you and for everyone out there. I've worked with Archer now for the past couple years, and we've built a relationship over that time, and super excited to see what you have in the future here. So thanks for having me, and again, congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. Back in 2016, I was at a company called Firehouse Advertising. And like the traditional advertising world, if you're familiar with it, there's a bunch of up and downs. And Firehouse is pretty conservative about how they went about hiring and bringing on clients and really making sure that they made that balance of work life really strong, like agency style, but then also managing the business side of things, right, which is very difficult in the agency world. Unfortunately, they came across some hard times in terms of client acquisition, as well as clients being acquired by other like private equity firms and then moving that business into their portfolio. So there was a pretty big drop off in terms of revenue. And I was a part of a layoff. So really, I got my start in entrepreneurship and starting the agency really because I got fired, to be totally frank.
Door closes,
which sucked at the time.
Window opens.
But, yeah, for sure. And I was fortunate because at the time I started building kind of a side roster of clients. It was two companies in particular that I was just helping out on the paid search side. I was doing some digital marketing for them, really kind of moonlighting gigs, right, during my lunch hour, during the mornings and evenings.
Got that side hustle.
I wasn't doing work for Firehouse. Yeah, for sure, it helps out a little bit, as we all know. But really, from that, it kind of formed my idea on what a more operationally efficient agency could look like. Meaning, you don't have a bunch of people sitting in like a brick building, like drinking a bunch of free beer. That's pretty much what an agency is.
You had a chip on your shoulder. You had a chip on your shoulder, and you wanted to take them down.
Yes and no. I respect the people at Firehouse, but I was a little pissed, as everyone is, after they get let go. It's more shocked at first, and then it kind of set in. But it's funny. I still grab lunch probably once a quarter. 3 times a year sort of schedule with my mentor and one of the partners over there. So I still have a relationship with the team, and it's
let them know you still
nice,
got it.
Right? I get to say that again.
Let them know you still got it.
Yeah, for sure. Right? They're a little jealous now. Not really, but they're a little jealous.
Well, that's cool. So
so I was freelancing, and I kind of applied all the things I learned from like the freelancing remote model to what an agency can be. And our pitch is like pretty simple. It's our people are global, both in mentality and location, right? We want global individuals, people who are aware of the times and of the situation, because that instinct is more valuable to clients than doing a bunch of research, right? I mean, we can do research all day, but if you have no empathy, if you have no just generalized instincts of what it means to be a person and a human in a global economy, it's not going to really work out that well for client services and for driving true growth.
Yeah, feel pretty fast.
Brands pay. Yeah, exactly. Brands pay for work, not our overheads. So we're 100% pass through, and we realize no operational profit or percentage like most agencies do. And then we profit when we perform. So meaning we make a profit. We're a business, so we have to grow. We have to make profit every year to be sustainable. Um, but we only align that to specific client objectives and growth goals for our clients. So if we increase revenue an extra 10% year over year, we get a profit based off that, for example. Or we increase someone's SEO rankings, we get a profit based off that. So it's really a bonus at the end of the year based off of us hitting the goals that we say we're going to hit.
Very cool.
So that's really kind of the mentality and thought on and the background on why I got into what I'm doing today. And it's varied quite a lot for the last 2 years, but on the agency side, for sure, that's definitely the mentality and how we approach all client relationships.
It's very cool. Yeah, I can tell you guys sort of know your stuff. So what's knowing gathering all the sort of insights that you have over the years, do you sort of see something in 2019 that's sort of oversaturated, overhyped, maybe overutilized that people can sort of look out for and say that maybe like don't focus my resources here, maybe look elsewhere?
Yeah, so I always hate hearing a company or a potential client come up to me and say, I need to do Facebook ads. For some reason, it's Facebook ads that really get me.
It's very much like
if you look
in
at the
vogue.
data on
It's just
Facebook,
the culture.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, like something about Facebook really gets people going because there have been a lot of brands that have had a lot of
It's
success on
easy.
Facebook. Don't get me wrong, and
It's easy, and
it's not easy, but
the perception is that everyone's there, and it's sort of like easy to get started because you see all the ads there. So there's this sort of like self-fulfilling advertisement prophecy.
Yeah, what you don't realize is that 95% of those ads actually are not working, right? They're driving negative ROI or negative brand perception, or they're just being seen by dead people. I mean, it sounds creepy, but by like 2020 or like 2040,
a lot of people have died since Facebook started.
From now, yes, literally, I think it's like 50% of the users on Facebook, based off their current user growth, is going to be dead. Like, it's dark and creepy, but you could be advertising slippers to someone's deceased parent or grandmother, and
you heard it here first.
Kind of awkward.
Facebook, the zombie platform.
It's the new take on The Walking Dead, right? If we are social, right? Why can't that be the new Walking Dead?
Yeah, you better get your lawyers in line. I feel like there's going to be some lawsuits. I'm just kidding. That's cool. Yeah,
well, you can now will your Facebook page to a relative.
Sure. Really? I didn't know that. That's awesome. I don't know if it's any. I don't know if that's
it's creepy.
I don't know if that's anything that I would want to do, but maybe do like a creepy Facebook page and then leave it to someone that they can do something with it afterwards.
Like your worst enemy, like do something awful, and then just like your worst enemy that you absolutely hate, like the worst insult you can give them is after you die, you give them a shitty thing.
Yeah, here you go. Here you go. This is what I think of. That's the last gotcha. That's the last hurrah. Do you find that it's overrated because just from like ROI, or is it that people are just bad at implementation?
Yeah, so I would say that one, you can do Facebook for cheap, right? Like you can, for $10 a day, you can drive a decent amount of clicks, a decent amount of impressions, et cetera. You can even drive like positive ROI on that. But what most people don't account for that is the time it takes to hit those goals, right? So, some brands will come to me and to our company and say, oh, we want to drive 100% or 100x ROI, whatever they say, on Facebook ads, and they say our budget's $10 a day, like all in. And we have to, while that might be feasible for a brand that actually has spent multi-thousands of dollars in their historical performance from an optimization standpoint, they've earned their 100x ROI on that, right? They have done the testing, they've done the audience split analysis. They've done the conversion rate optimization on their website. It costs more money to optimize the $10 per day campaign on Facebook than you would make back over the course of 2, 3, 4 years.
Gotcha.
Right? If it was positive in ROI.
Gotcha. On the flip side, do you see different channels that are sort of underutilized, underhyped?
Yeah, so I'm actually a big believer in using your current customer base to spur on like network effects, and I'll talk to you a little bit. I'll get into a little bit more detail about that here in a second. But what I mean by that, if you're not familiar, is most people think about like top of funnel leading to total revenue or total conversion volume at the bottom of the funnel. And traditional thinking implies that the more you put in at the top and the better you optimize in the middle or at the bottom, the better the results will be from a day-to-day basis. But what you don't realize is that costs a lot of money, right? You can find cheap traffic, but typically cheap traffic is not the best qualified traffic. Or you can find really expensive traffic and then not return the revenue that you need to return in order to make that initial spend viable in a longer period of time. Okay. Obviously, like venture-backed companies do this all the time because they're going after total top-line revenue growth and don't really care about the P&L, right, sure, at the end of the quarter, because they don't.
For non-venture-backed companies that maybe don't have network effects, do you think that there's sort of like, just use Google ads instead of Facebook ads? Is there sort of a specific channel or like process that you'd say for figuring that out?
Depends on the objective. Yeah, it very much depends on the objective. But I always like to say, look at your current audience and make them really, really effing happy, right? Yeah. So like in our case, we're about to launch an internal like software for our agency that serves a freelancer audience.
Thank you for saying effing, by the way, because we can't afford the bleep, and we can't afford the SEC, the inevitable SEC fine.
Yeah, exactly, right.
It's very nice self-awareness.
Yes. Can't afford the bleep. I love it. Yeah. Hopefully one day.
Yeah, one day we'll get there. We'll get there. We need to afford a guy who can do the bleep. We don't know what that is or what that really is going to look like.
Drop the F-bombs all you want. Yeah. We're not Gary over here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what I like to say, and what we are actually deploying on our own end, is we're saying that we want our customers to be very, very happy in order to spur on organic network effects. So to explain a little bit in more depth, we have a product. We have 250. It's very specific. We have 250 early like beta users. And in that case, what we want to do is before we start finding more users, reaching out to more people, we want to make sure that those people are very happy. And we're doing this in a very interesting way. We're doing like 30-minute sales onboarding training for people that aren't paying us like a traditional sales close, right? I mean, it's a free user, but we're getting on Google Hangouts with them or a video chat and saying, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. Ask us questions. Give us feedback. We'll explain it. We'll help you get your first couple projects uploaded. We'll help you get your work history uploaded.
Which is interesting because marketing seems to be becoming, more tightly coupled with sales, right?
Sales, absolutely.
And I like to umbrella it as growth, right? Where marketing and sales are sort of, you're trying to sort of align the two. And help marketing understand what may be, strictly a salesperson's job, and help sales understand what marketing's process is, or part of the process is.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree with you. I think, the biggest problems that we see in our clients actually is when sales and marketing and product don't work together.
Sure.
Right. When that happens, there's huge obstacles that have to be overcome. And one of our jobs when we start working with early stage, quickly growing clients is making sure that before we turn on the water hose, that we have the trenches in place to funnel it into, we're going to use a garden analogy, right? Into the raised bed. Right. So, if the water starts pooling on one end, it causes all sorts of issues on the other end. And next thing you know, the company is, not hitting its goals, having difficult raising extra money. But to kind of like wrap up what I was saying about the engagement in those sales calls that we're calling like sales calls, onboarding training calls, is that some of the tools we use that people don't really consider as growth tools, they really look at them as customer like acquisition tool or customer engagement tools, is like automated text messaging, automated like email flow. So we use a tool called Autopilot, which I really love. Super simple to set up.
I also
Integrations
love
are
it.
amazing. Yeah,
Use
it's super powerful. It's so much better than like I think sales. I mean, still they're different, but HubSpot and all these other ones that are big, very expensive. Autopilot, super affordable, and you can do things like automated texting, customer sales journey building, and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's super cool.
But what you can do there is you can have call to actions, right? That says forward this message along. I mean, it's not rocket science, but you can forward a text message. So one of the things that we're going to do when we start really growing our side of it, and what's going to spur network effect growth, i.e. people referring others in their network to come back to our site, and creating this growth loop that everyone wants, right? This like infinite growth loop. The more people that come, the more people that share, the more people that come, right?
Yep.
So really we're thinking about it from an engagement to growth standpoint. And I think a lot of people don't consider that because they think about the duopoly situation. Oh, I need Google AdWords and I need Facebook paid ads.
Yeah, that's right. Successful. Yeah, there's sort of the simplistic terms, and then, honestly, what sort of dictated it was that marketing has changed and it's evolved and it's gotten a lot more sophisticated for tools like Autopilot. I like Active Campaign that does sort of a similar feature set.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
And
yeah.
They it sort of required marketers and sales to work together to do and branch out into a little bit more complex processes. Well, yeah, that's good. Do you you have a little bit more experience scaling these distributed teams? I think you said that there's about 80 people under the TAP umbrella. Maybe you could sort of talk at length about.
We have about 80 people spread out across the globe.
Yeah. So if you could talk at length about what sort of difficulties have you had? What sort of the benefits you've had in scaling and managing remote teams? Have you reached sort of like from 0 to 10, it was easy. Maybe at 25, you realized that you needed certain processes. 50, and then now approaching 100. Those are 3 different stages of the company, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say the biggest difference is there's a difference between like remote local. So that's like people not working in traditional office buildings, but still in your same city. So we have several people in Dallas, right, that can get in a room together when we need to at a WeWork or at a coffee shop, whatever it is. So we're remote on a day-to-day basis, but if there's some crisis or something we just have to knock out, we can all get in a room.
It's almost like a hybrid model.
Yeah. And I really believe that that's the future of work, right? And I know that's not the topic for today, but seeing the two differences, we're much more effective and a lot more operationally efficient when we think about remote work, not as a digital, nomad who sits on the beach for 1 month and then goes to the forest the next month. That's not legit. One, because those people tend not to be super productive.
Yeah, forests don't have good Wi-Fi. It's 2019, Forest.
You're right.
Good job.
Exactly. The beach doesn't have good Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in and out of Wi-Fi, but don't worry, I'll continue to get my work done.
Exactly.
Nothing against people who make that work, but those are the exception, not the norm.
Sure.
So remote local is like really key, right? So understanding how you can build teams in different areas and different cities that achieve the same results as coming to the office 8 hours a day, coupled with the efficiencies of being remote. And then you have the other end, right, which is the remote global, which is really you are working with teams who are global in their location and therefore can't meet together unless you have a big enough client who's willing to fly everyone in to have a big onboarding and a big, mid-time, like mid-project regroup and a big, closing meeting, which that's starting to happen more and more, but less so in reality. So to answer your question very simply, the biggest issue that we've had on the global remote side is not really the time, not the productivity. It's the over techno, like the saturation of technologies there are in the market to manage these like teams. So you have Trello, you have Basecamp, you have Hangouts, you have Zoom, you have Slack, you have Google Drive, you got Dropbox.
You got
all these
options. You
different
got options
platforms.
for options.
I mean, seriously, it's like overwhelming, and each person has a different set. Like
Workflow,
each person has a unique like workflow, and each person has
technology
a
stack.
unique
Companies
exactly that they like
companies
to
have
use.
technology stacks, and now people,
Exactly.
remote workers
Hmm.
have their own technology stacks.
Yeah, for sure. So what we're trying to do, and this is kind of a teaser, what we're trying to do is figure out a way to have all of that come together, right, in a single ecosystem that eliminates the need for Trello, Basecamp, and Asana, right, on 20 different projects. So how can you funnel all that together into one ecosystem that provides one login, right, and one form of communication? So that's been our biggest challenge and something that we're actively trying to overcome. Um, and then honestly, too, the other one is just finding the right people. Scaling remote teams and remote talent require a certain mentality, regardless of if they're local or global. Um, it's just a matter of making sure that the people you have are motivated and loyal enough and interested enough in what you're doing as a company and in an agency in our case to be willing to work the 9 to 12 a.m. if that's what it takes. And we're not very hour based, we're really more project based. So think of it as, I don't care if someone works from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then works from 7 to 2 a.m.
Gotcha.
um, we, we just want
Time
to make sure that the
time
work gets
agnostic.
done on time and quality.
Okay.
Exactly.
Very cool. Yeah, no, it sounds like you've sort of found a model that works for you, even if it's sort of a hybrid model. Because a lot of times, when I initially got
Yeah,
into
for sure.
tech, it was so that I could work remotely and go talk with the trees and the bears, and then put an expense report in. But not the case apparently, says Daniel Gerow. What do you think
Yeah.
is? What do you think? How do you pick your marketing channels for clients? Is there sort of a specific process that you look at in terms
Yeah.
of company category, price point? What are the sort of factors that you look at when trying to pick those marketing channels for sort of an awareness and acquisition strategy?
Yeah, so I would say it's definitely goal based, right? And I think you're going to hear that a lot, and that's definitely the direction that marketing has gone, right? It's less, oh, we need people to remember us. It's more, we need our marketing to achieve certain business goals or objectives. So we always start, you know, we like joke internally. We like to be like big four consultant up front, and then specialized digital execution on the back, right? So really, like, we want to know someone's business. We want to know what their issues are and how we can potentially solve it from an operational, not just a marketing standpoint. Um, so when it comes to that, right, it's really, most clients, most early stage clients, it's either, top line revenue growth or it's profitable growth. And in our case, it's, when we work with some VC backed companies, it's mostly just top line growth. Obviously VCs want to see efficient growth, but at the end of the day, if you're hitting your user metrics and you're hitting your revenue metrics quarter over quarter, it's okay if you spent a little bit more money to get that than you might, when you're ready to IPO or when you're even after IPO. And we'll look at
Gotcha.
Uber and Lyft, for instance. Um,
When you're talking
so,
about
so
goal
another
based,
specific answer.
when you're talking about goal
Yeah,
based,
so goal
take us
based.
through that process.
Yeah. So I'll give it to you. I'll give a very like specific example. So we have a client who is looking at it's essentially an affiliate marketing site, right? So their whole concept is compare all of life's utilities, home utilities like home insurance, internet and cable, loans and credit cards and gas and electricity, all of these things under one pipeline, one umbrella company. So their goal, right, is to become the largest affiliate and eventually enrollment platform for all of your utilities that you have on a day-to-day basis.
Gotcha.
Utilities being electric, right? Anyways, the point being is that in order to get to that point and to that vision, they need to show that they can drive traffic to their site, because the brands, the bigger brands, say the AT&Ts of the world, or um, the home insurance companies of the world, et cetera, they want to see that you have enough volume to your site before they're even willing to partner with you on an affiliate standpoint,
Is
or
it
even
sort
an
of
enrollment standpoint.
is it sort of like what's the company NerdWallet, where NerdWallet is sort of an
I
affiliate
think
company
they're,
for
yeah,
is an affiliate for credit card companies, and sort of like
yeah, financial
push
services essentially.
financial
Yeah, so it's
services.
everything that has to do with finance.
So similar except
Yeah.
for utilities.
Yeah,
And
so similar to that, but yeah, similar to that, but we're doing everything under the sun in this case, right?
okay,
It's more about breadth, less about depth. But eventually,
okay,
we need to hit depth. NerdWallet's a good example of financial depth, but they don't have a lot of like breadth of offerings, right?
okay,
Um, so uh, uh, anyways, in terms of the goals there, right? So we looked at their business and we said, okay, we have this vision, but we can't hit this vision until we have these brands. What's it going to take to make these brands want to sign up with us and become a partner and affiliate channel? We realized it was volume, just straight volume. Like they didn't really care about you know, how many people you were driving to their site, and they didn't really care about how many people were signing up, because at the end of the day, the affiliate relationship is such that you can send 100 people their way or 100,000 people their way. If no one actually does anything, they don't pay you, but they want
right,
to see there's volume there in order to make the effort to set you up.
gotcha.
So we
Sending
look
foot
at
traffic through the door is sort of the first step of the process.
yeah, exactly. So we look at their goals then in two different ways, because they are a business. They need to eventually make money, i.e., enrolling people or getting people to enroll on the partner sites. But for right now, in order to even get to that point, we need to look at just driving volume. So our strategy and our goal is specifically about driving as much like volume as possible on the lowest budget we can possibly muster.
Gotcha.
Does that mean we're making any money right now? No. I mean, with the optimizations and stuff, we might make some money, but that's not the goal, right? So it's a very specific short and then long-term goal. So we have the traffic, we have the relationships. That does a couple of things. It builds brand equity and it builds trust for our user base. And then from there, we flip on the, call it revenue strategy, where it's all about, like what we talked about earlier, like understanding that 95% of the stuff that we do on Facebook or Google, whatever it is, isn't going to work. It's going to be the 5% that does work that we need to start scaling quickly.
Gotcha. Kind of brings you into the next point, because it's a good example about how you sort of think about growth. I think in years past, it used to be just sort of, you sort of touched on this in the first point. It used to be just sort of put money into Facebook ads and then we'll grow the company. But you're starting to see that the model and the belief about growth is a bit more holistic. So what is your sort of thoughts as are working with clients about how to sort of fix their growth process, or how they look at growth?
Yeah, so a lot of it happens in that initial strategy consultation period. Really, we like to get at the audience profile. So who's your ideal customer? We like to think of messaging. We've got some amazing talent that can speak to like the psychology of what people are going through. I mean, literally, one of our members is like a criminology and psychology like master's degree, right? So understanding how like people's motives in terms of moving them down specific client funnels. I think in our case, we really care about a mix of marketing channels, but understanding that that's budget limited. So if you only have $100 a week or a day or even a like month in some
Right.
cases,
Right.
where do you put that to drive the most efficient growth? And the reason why a lot of people and the reason why the duopoly exists is because Google and Facebook are super easy to track.
Sure.
Right. And I think that's one of the biggest things that you need to think about as an early company or a company that's considering getting into growing. You know, most like a lot of SMBs, they've got their standard revenue on a monthly basis and they don't really care too much about growth. It's the companies that are trying to expand and to really hit some bigger vision goals. I always recommend you start with digital tactics, not necessarily just Facebook and Google. You know, a lot of times we do use Google and Bing. You know, Bing's an interesting one because it's an older audience. So when we look at like a client who potentially is reaching out to, you know, my people that are my parents' age, right? My parents still use Internet Explorer. So like they don't use Google as much, but they use Internet Explorer and they're very likely to convert on a higher rate and at a better budget than say, you know, a younger generation or even a younger parent or even that same age parent on Google. I don't know why that's the case. That's just the case.
Certain products for certain people. Everybody's got money to spend, so there's going to be marketing dollars chasing that.
Exactly. Right.
Buying gold and European cruises.
Bing probably be a great one for retired European cruise hunters.
We're on it, man.
But you can even track an 80-year-old converting on your website, right?
Yeah.
So like it's but again, right? It's about how can you extend the trackability of Google and Facebook to be very unique and dynamic about your digital marketing, right? So in our case, we're extending it. We're using our target is freelancers, right? So we're using LinkedIn as kind of a heavy lead opportunity for us, right? A channel for us. And we're doing some really cool things on the LinkedIn front. But then how can we couple that with like I said, the automated texting, the email? So once you connect with someone, you get their email. Sometimes you get their phone number. Why not upload them into your email marketing campaign or to your texting and say, hey Archer, I just, thanks for connecting. I saw this number was on your LinkedIn profile. Would love to open up this line of communication because it's a lot more efficient and we're not always on LinkedIn, et cetera. People appreciate that, right? And you have to understand that people aren't, especially on the digital side, they're not opposed to having brands reach out to them and talk to them if it's in a way that makes sense for that brand. So for us, understanding why it makes sense for a brand comes in the tracking, and it's the reason why we like to focus on digital.
Got you. Sounds like, from what I'm hearing from you, it's like be flexible. Don't get cornered into, what are sort of the traditional options, and experiment with, different variations of options out there.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll give you another example, not to get too deep in this, but it's fascinating. I mean, you can buy digital out of home. So, I mean, we all see those big digital billboards, right, on the highway. But you can also buy the digital space in malls or in airports, or honestly, over the urinal in the restroom. I mean, you've seen those.
Brand value there.
I know. I don't ever recommend those. I just use it. Literally, there's digital advertising everywhere.
I feel like those are prime for bail bonds service. I always feel like those are prime for that. They're like we don't care. You can pee all over us.
Yeah, brand equity on the urinal placements aren't that great. They're actually kind of dying because that's an issue. But the point being,
I feel like that's also where you're also going to get the people who most regret some of their more severe life decisions. So for them it's people are like, oh man, here's an opportunity.
It might make sense though for you see these companies out there that are hangover cures. Why not
see? I'm just saying, you
I'm
gotta be open-minded.
Be
flexible. Well, cool.
Yeah.
What do you think? Sort of branching on that. What do you think is the future of digital marketing? Is it continue to
Yeah.
be a wild west? Are there going to be things that sort of open up in the next 6 to 18 months?
So I think in like the next like I think in the next 12, 18 months, like you'll see things like start popping up, which are like interesting. Like I think the digital like out of home is fascinating because now it's all programmatic. I think that will extend, especially when we start thinking about 5G and like augmented reality and some of the virtual reality stuff. Like event-based marketing is going to be really cool. So one of our clients, they essentially are a uh, they're redefining what it means to like put on an event from like an engagement standpoint, a digital engagement standpoint. So they've got like drag and drop app building for their clients. They've got all sorts of really cool stuff that they do. Anyways, uh, they're thinking about like how can we deploy really targeted, interesting ads
In the real
for our
world?
brand, for our clients at the World of Warcraft conference or at the Game of Thrones conference, whatever it is, right?
Facial
Um,
recognition.
yeah, but seriously, like it sounds like creepy and scary, but like that, I think we're going to see many more companies come up doing that. No one's
Coming
going to
to a
use it
dystopia near you.
because unfortunately, I think Facebook and Google will still have a duopoly in 18 months, right?
Yeah,
Most people will be using those tactics for the near and long term future until, like I said, people are just advertising to dead people on Facebook.
very cool.
Um, but I definitely think we should start thinking about the things like augmented reality, right? As the phones get more sophisticated and the interactions on your phone can be more clever, right? Like you can have an ad that uses the virtual reality and camera software on an iPhone uh, in an ad placement. It's very expensive to do right now, but I think that's going to get a lot more affordable and a lot more of a serious option for brands that have a little bit of money to spend.
Gotcha. Cool. Well then, heard it here first. I'll say thanks, Daniel, for joining me on
Yeah,
the first edition of the
yeah,
of this video
thanks.
podcast, and then we'll talk to you down the road.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it, Archer. You have a good one.
You too. I hope you enjoyed that podcast. Daniel is one of the more inspirational growth thinkers that I've met during the course of my career. I think he offers some interesting insights on how to really model and think about growth, and also how to really sort of give you some shocking insights on things that are working and not working. So I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you follow us on your favorite social media channels. We'll be sending out interviews and how-to videos and all sorts of great stuff. So make sure you follow us wherever it is that you consume content.